Hi there, and thank you for joining us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast. We feature those who are in the process of overcoming or have overcome any type of life encounter, life obstacle that at the time seemed to be almost insurmountable. With this podcast, we have three objectives in mind. Our first objective is we want you to know with a confident resolve you are not alone. We want to work with you. We want you to know there are others who are working with you, who want to help you through whatever you are encountering, and together we will get through whatever you're experiencing.
Our second objective is there are multiple options for any life encounter you are facing. We want to help you develop a resolve that there are various options and solutions to any life dilemma.
Our third objective is to help you with critical thinking skills. If you're encountering something that was possibly a decision you made sometime in the past, and if you had the opportunity for a life redo, you would make a different decision. We want to help you with those critical thinking skills that can help you make an informed decision and not encounter what you're going through at the moment. We are the Cooper Culture, a veteran-owned business. We work with business personnel and families to develop and sustain connected relationship cultures within their families and organizations. That type organization is one where people feel wanted, appreciated, and genuinely a part of that organization. I'm with my wife and business partner, Marty, who has helped me facilitate this podcast. Today we feature Brittney Phillips, who discusses blended families. She experienced a divorce that she did not want. It was a matter of how things turned out in life. She is moving forward with a blended family, having remarried. Her husband was divorced and with children. It is a matter of helping families develop blended families. When you have children each from different marriages, you're remarrying. Marty, what are some takeaways we can learn from Brittney?
Brittney was really good explaining the challenges that you have with a blended family, and she's trying to help women or couples that are in a blended situation and they're having struggles. So I appreciate her willingness to help people. Not having been there, I have no idea what it's like, but I'm sure there are very stressful times and you just have to work through it, and she knows how to help people work through it.
I do believe it is a matter of being willing to adapt to, show empathy for those that have blended families. Let's work with them to adapt to a new life. Let's listen and learn together. Brittney, great to have you with us. You have experienced a bit of I'm not sure you call it traumatic background, but maybe a less than desirable beginning with a divorce, and you had a toxic relationship through that, and you have taken the very best of what was a less than desired beginning, and you're helping others to avoid and maybe choose a mate and learn how to get out of a toxic relationship, something like that. But Brittney, thank you for your past, I would say, and taking the very best of that and moving forward. It's great to have you with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's nice to be here, and I love to share my story. So,
What is it about your story? Brittney, can you give us a 60,000-foot view of your past? What of that past are we taking forward to help others?
yeah. So really quickly, to keep it short, I was in a marriage for about 8 years. I didn't know it at the time, but it was very toxic. It took me a few years to get to that point to realize that it was really unhealthy, but was able to get out of that relationship with some help from my parents. I found myself as a single mom back in the dating world. And that's when I met my current husband, who he had a son at the time. And we thought, this is going to be great. We have the same values, the same visions. Let's do this. Let's make a family. Our kids were super young still. So we got married. I moved into their house. Despite all our best intentions, everything was really hard. And it was definitely a learning curve, caught me off guard. There are things about blended families that are very different than a traditional family, and I was not ready. I was not prepared for that. Long story short, we've been married over a decade now, and I help moms and blended families as they go through that transition, as they're changing from unhealthy relationships, trying to shift it to healthy patterns and healthy new beginnings, and not get stuck in that same cycle that they might have been in before.
Let me ask you maybe what you learned about your past, dating and so forth. Maybe having looked back in with no intent to blame or anything, but let's just assume you learned what to look for in a man, his values, you mentioned that. How do you know in hindsight, and I guess maybe just slightly, as you look back on your first marriage, if you'd known then what you know now,
Mhm.
could you have seen coming what the end result was?
That's a tough question because I've thought about this a lot, and I honestly don't know. Just because of my specific circumstance, it was very manipulative, a lot of lying and things I did not see. I don't know if I could have seen, but I think the biggest thing I've come to is if I could have been stronger as an individual, as a person myself, maybe I could have avoided a situation that way. I was very much a people pleaser, so would just trying to make everybody happy all the time. And I think that's where the problem lied was was just that I was pleasing everyone.
Brittany, I'm going to interpret, and certainly tell me if I'm wrong. You were married to a narcissist who knew how to manipulate you.
Mhm.
You were uncertain of your value. He could see that. And so he would manipulate you into maybe making you feel inadequate and so forth. And he, to a degree, had you under his thumb. Did I radically misinterpret anything?
You're pretty close with most of it. It wasn't he was very good about I don't talk about this aspect of it a lot, but very good about painting the story I wanted to see. So according from my perspective, we were totally aligned in our values.
Yep. I do appreciate that. So now, was there a period of time where you thought, nope, no, there's no man out there that would ever be worthy of you? You are totally distrusting of all of us of the male gender. And if there's any aspect of that, how did you overcome that?
Yeah, that absolutely. I absolutely felt that way. Honestly, it was a leap of faith on my end to even start dating again. But I am one, I have very strong family values and believe very much in the family unit and having kids having two parents. I wanted my daughter to have a father figure in her life. And so it was just this leap of faith to even put myself out there. And I dated a lot and I was very disappointed to say the least about who and what was out there. I was at an age where a lot of the people was dating had never been married yet, and I quite frankly they weren't ready to be a father tomorrow, right? Like immediately. And so that was really hard. And I did lose hope sometimes. It was like, this is what am I even thinking? This is never going to work. I'm never going to find somebody. I don't even know if there's honest men in the world anymore. And that was hard. But I knew that if I didn't at least put myself out there, that I would never know for sure.
Brittany, I want to ask you, as you were dating, did you recognize things in other guys that you had in your husband?
In my previous husband,
Yes, yeah.
yeah, yeah, lots of red flags. And a lot of it, some of them were unimportant, but were very triggering for me. So really silly things like, oh, they had a motorcycle. Like panic. Like that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it was triggering for me at the time. So there was a huge healing process going on through that whole dating era of my life.
But you had to recognize maybe the negative.
Yes.
And sometimes I think women go back into the same thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah, there was actually one in particular, as you're asking me this, that I thought of. That there was one guy who bought me flowers the day he met me, and he like started doing all these really nice things, and I was like, "This is not how it's supposed to go." I could put a word to it now. I didn't know it at the time, but it's love bombing, like showering me with with all the things, but it just felt a little bit off. And so I had to start trusting that intuition, trusting my gut and myself.
I'm curious, your current husband, did you date him much longer than your first husband?
Actually, no.
Okay.
No, I was definitely aware of very important differences. And I'll give you a really brief example, but when I first met him, my current husband, we met up at a restaurant that was kind of in between our two homes because we didn't live super close. As we're chatting and talking over our food, he's like, I've got to tell you something. I'm going to be really honest with you. And I was like, oh, okay, what's coming? I wasn't ready for this. He's like, I'm actually dating someone. It was kind of a long story, but they'd broken up and then gotten back together just a few hours before our date. And he's like, I didn't want to cancel last minute on you, but I just really wanted to be super honest with you. I didn't want that to be something that might come up. He's like, but I think you're cute. And if I could keep your number just in case. And honestly, like everybody that he tells that story to, they're like, that was the dumbest thing you could have done. Why would you tell her that? And in my mind, that was the greatest thing he could have done because I was like, he didn't have to tell me that. He was not obligated to tell me that, and he did. And so this person is like overly honest. Like I can trust this person. Where that was my biggest challenge in my previous marriage was I couldn't even trust the person I was married to at all. So that was a huge green flag for me, even though it was weird and a little bit odd. We didn't talk again for a few more months until that relationship didn't work out, but it was huge green flag for me. Like, wow.
Trust is a huge factor. I know it's very personality dependent. I know between Marty and me, I automatically want to trust you on a 10-point scale. I want to assign you a 10, and you have to work your way backwards. Where with Marty, she starts out with a 0, and you got to work your way up.
Yeah.
But Brittney, I'm going to interpret that you knew how to assess a prospective mate's values. By your testimony, you didn't date your current husband a long time, but you knew what to look for, and yep, you've got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was working with a therapist at the time too. And so, right, like that was important that like I need someone else's perspective. I'm not quite sure I totally trust my judgment at this time. And so I did. I would bounce things off and say, this is what I'm seeing, this is what's happening. And so she did help me and guide me through that dating process.
Okay, now blended families. Okay, it's the two of you. You
Mhm.
knew you had to be compatible, but he had a son, and did you have children as well?
Yeah. So I had a daughter and he had a son. They were 6 and 3 at the time.
Okay, now just curious. Do they automatically, the children, like each other, or is that something, well, you got to mix the two together to see if there's compatibility? How does all that work?
Yeah, great question. So as we were dating, when we finally introduced the kids, they got along great. We'd meet up at the park and they play really well. We thought, oh, we're set. This is going to be so easy. Something about the act of getting married and moving in together, all of a sudden the kids were not okay. And a lot of headbutting, and like they were both only children, so not used to having a sibling around all the time. One is with us 100% of the time, the other one's going back and forth in between homes. Just a lot of change, having to shuffle rooms around so we can fit everybody in the house. Those types of things are going on too.
I will tell you up front, Marty and I have not experienced divorce. And so I'll ask you a lot of very elementary questions, but I'm just going to assume leading into this question, custody of children, you're the sharing and so forth. And I divorced you for reasons I believe were right, but you still have to be with each other some amount of time. And your children, I guess, are looking at, okay, the former spouse, how do you two relate to each other? I'm guessing all of this, the kids are very formative and they want to know how you're getting along with, okay, he's still my biological mom, dad, and so forth. Brittney, I apologize. I'm not even sure I know how to ask the right question.
Well, it's very complicated. We'll start with that. There's a lot of big emotions that come up. This is honestly trying to co-parent with an ex-partner is one of the biggest struggles that I see with my clients. How do we make this work? Like, how do I let go of this anger and resentment and fear as I send my child to their other parent's house. Yeah, you're exactly right. Usually there's a reason that we're divorced. And so, that reason is still there and I'm sending my kids, but it takes very intentional and conscious work to put your own feelings aside and really say what is best for our child. If both parents can do that, put their own personal feelings aside and say, let's figure out how to give our child the best environment here. That's where you can win. Now, if you're dealing with someone has got big narcissistic tendencies, it's going to be harder. And you're going to have to be careful how you respond so you're not feeding that narcissism.
Is there an aspect, I want to ask you this, if a person divorced their former mate because, you betrayed me and man, I can't get over this. You did me dirty or whatever the term may be. And they're still hanging on to that. It's almost as if, and I'm picturing, and this may not happen, but with shared custody. I don't even want to be in the presence of my former spouse. I'll have you walk a block before I even look at my former spouse, kind of thing. And again, I know I may be talking something that never happens, but I'm just envisioning this kind of, let's say, hatefulness. Maybe it's lack of forgiveness could be a very dominating factor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the thing that most people don't recognize is how much that affects the kids. When you're filled with hate, that's one thing, right? Trying to forgive that person. But your kids can sense it, especially if you're talking about their other parent. Like that's like a knife to your kid's heart because that's part of them too. Their other parent is a big part of who they are. And so it complicates things if we are not able to humble ourselves a little bit and step back and say what really matters here.
That would seem to be very important. Taking that maybe a step further, I am aware of some families who purposely denigrate their former mate in the presence of the children. They've got them isolated. I want you to know the negative about him or her. Children are very impressionable, and they could learn to hate their biological parent through that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually a name for it. It's called parental alienation, where one parent turns all the kids against the other parent. And it's very troubling for everyone, for the kids, for the parent that's being alienated. I mean, it's not healthy in any way. Much as you may feel justified in doing that, it's harming your kids.
Can you, as the coach, recommend to the court? I guess that's where it would have to go. This former mate is a dominant factor in the toxicity of the child. Can you recommend changing the court order if that's what it would be, the custody arrangements?
I typically do not get involved in court things. What I like to do is really teach my clients how to empower themselves. And so how to figure out how to navigate this without letting somebody else be in driver's seat of their own life, to put themselves back in the driver's seat and like, what are you in control of? Yourself, your thoughts, right? Your reactions. And so I don't like to get involved in that way. I do have clients who are going to court cases. I'm helping the clients behind the scenes to strengthen themselves.
I'm going to reword the question. Let's suppose the mom or dad who has custody of the child and it's their weekend. Let's kind of put that in that scenario. For the time that biological parent is with the child, they're sensing through conversation, well, my former spouse is they're telling you bad things. I mean, it's provably false. And how do you coach that person to help the child to not hate the biological parent?
Yeah. So there's a way we do it. We just stay true to ourselves. So if there's lies being shared, that we speak the truth. We are truth speakers and we show up consistently in the way that we can to support the kids. And the thing is the kids are not dumb. And usually they will eventually see the bigger picture. They see, oh, wow, I see that this parent was saying and doing these things, but that didn't always add up. That wasn't always accurate. So when my clients come to me, I'm like, you've got to be consistent and you've got to speak the truth, even if it's hard for the child to hear. So, for example, if my child is supposed to go be with their other parent and their parent just flakes out, I am not going to cover for their parent. I'm not going to like paint a lie to shield my child from that. That sounds really harsh, but it's a truth, right? Oh, your parent couldn't make it, right? I'm not going to like make it more dramatic than it is, but I'm also not going to make excuses for that parent. So I'm just going to speak the truth and then be there for my child to comfort through those hard feelings. And then with time, they see the consistency and they see who's showing up, who's being honest, who's really there to support me.
Marty and I are of the value set that we function best with the very operative nuclear family, if I could use that term. And I know not everybody ascribes to our beliefs, but we do believe that the nuclear family functions best when mom and dad love each other and we pass those feelings on to our children and so forth. I know what could happen is a person feels they're unworthy because mom or dad are no longer with us and I feel abandoned.
Mhm.
I'm rambling here a little bit, Brittney, but I know there's some people, there's some children who feel neglected, isolated, even though they're under the same roof, but you're paying more attention to somebody else, or at least you're not giving me what I need. Am I making sense with anything I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. And these are all real, real struggles that blended families deal with regularly. That's a huge piece that every member of the blended family, both the parents and the kids are all grieving something. There was a loss that formed this blended family. There's either a death or a divorce or some type of separation that was the step before this blended family came to be. And so it's so important that we remember each person, that we have empathy for where they're coming from, because it's hard. It's hard on every member of the family. So yeah, validating those feelings and being supportive, like creating this safety, that's huge. That's a huge thing that I like to teach my clients is how can we create safety for everyone?
Marty and I speak frequently about being a safe space. There are people who are withholding and so forth, and we might be able to sense it, but they're not going to tell us anything until we prove ourselves to be a safe space. And so we
Yeah.
are strong advocates of that, knowing we're not going to gossip against you. We're here to help you over. In that context, Brittney, how long did it take you to recover, if I could use that term, your divorce and become the holistic person you are to where, yep, I'm over. I'll take in spite of you maybe saying something to the effect, I wish it weren't so, but it is. And I'm going to take the best of who I am and move forward to help others. How long did it take you to recover from your divorce?
Oh, that's a hard question. I don't know if I could put a time frame on it because it's not been like here's where it started and then here's the ending. It was more of a really slow transformation.
Yep.
And I totally believe that healing is a process. Like, are there still things I can heal from? Absolutely. Am I still triggered by things from my first marriage? Yes, I am. A decade later. Do I wish it was different? Yes, but I believe there's purpose in it. So I don't know. I don't know if I could say check off I'm healed, like I'm all done. So I don't know how I can't give you a solid answer on that one.
That's really what I was wondering, Brittney. I guess I would process what you're saying. You never totally recovered from. There are still any number of things that could activate memories and so forth. I mean, you're largely on the good side, but you know how to manage any flashback, if that's
Yeah.
an appropriate term. You know
Mhm.
how to manage and deal with to where it's not dominating your life in a negative way.
Yes. I have I've been practicing that a lot. So yes, I am definitely at a better place now than I was 12 years ago, for sure.
So for the person who is just divorced or man, they're in a toxic relationship, is it maybe accurate to say it could take you many years to get over your raw feelings kind of thing?
Yes, yes, and it took me several years to even let go of a lot of the anger. I don't feel anger anymore. about my first marriage. Do I still carry some things with me? Yes, but I don't carry anger anymore. I was able to forgive, but that did take very intentional and conscious effort on my part to do that, to be able to forgive.
I want to ask you something that may be very sensitive. In the context of forgiveness, did you have kind of a one-on-one session with him to say, I forgive you? And I mean, go through the level of specificity, I forgive you for, and list all the things. Did you have to go through something like that?
I did not do that. I did not think that was wise. So I don't have any contact with him anymore. That is more for my healing so I can continue to move forward, right? And not be pulled back into that constantly over and over. And so, no, that was not between me and him. That was more between, and I don't know if you're okay with me going this way, but that was a conversation between me and God that I had with him.
Brittney, thank you. Marty and I are faith-based. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. So I just want to tell you that unabashedly. And we do believe our faith in our Lord can bring us through some very, very difficult, trying times. Yes, I'm very aware there are a lot of different opinions, deeply held, on divorce and so forth. We are not advocates at all of staying in a very toxic, emotionally or physically unhealthy relationship. We're not advocates of that at all. But no, thank you. Okay, your faith brought you through a lot.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think I would have made it through without. So, but I hesitate to bring it up because I don't know how everybody feels, like you're saying. But yes, absolutely. I cannot deny that is absolutely what got me through those
No,
years.
I don't want you to feel that you need to be reserved at all about that. We are not in your face, Bible banging, but I'm just going to tell you right up front. It is our belief in our dear Lord and Savior that has brought us through a lot. That's brought hope, and it sounds like it may have taken you a few years to reestablish your self-worth and your
Yes.
value and so forth. You were maybe not down and hard, but there was a time of recovery.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. There were years of recovery. And I'll say this too. It just keeps coming in my head. So I'm just going to say it, but I did not want to forgive. So I had to pray for the desire to forgive before I could even attempt to make any kind of forgiveness there. So the desire was not there. So I prayed for it because I knew it would release me. It had nothing to do with him.
Were you a member of the church at the time of your divorce? And here's where I'm going with this. If yes to that, did you get the support of your church family that you are hoping for?
Um, yes and no. So yes, I was a member of my church. There was a lot of shame and things that came up just that I put on myself, I think, disappointment in myself because of that, which I think is actually really common for people in the church when they get divorced. Did I get the support I needed? Part of the issue was I relocated right before I divorced for that physical separation. And so I'm actually living with my parents. And so the people in the church didn't know me very well. I'm like this new person with a daughter, right? Like nobody knows my story. And so that was complicated. So I didn't have a friend or like support base. But did I feel supported? Yes. People did kind of show up because they knew my parents and they were supportive of my parents. Yes, but it was still difficult. I had people make comments to me like, "I can't believe you're still coming to church with what you've gone through," and like the things that the judgments, and a lot of people end up leaving at this stage where you're at. And so it was my faith that got me through it. So I was not about to give up on that aspect, even though I may not have felt completely surrounded and supported.
I'm envisioning a lot of your recovery and starting a new life may have included being with some amount of others, not necessarily a herd of people, I'll use that term, but God created us to function best with connected relationships.
Mhm.
Did you feel accepted and so forth in starting the new blended life, or did you feel that nope, I got to be very selective of who's even going to accept me?
Oh, that's tough. I felt if I'm thinking back, I felt extremely isolated and out of place, and I felt a lot of judgment. Was that the reality? I don't know. Or was it me putting it on myself? I don't know for sure. Maybe it was a mixture of both, because as I've come to accept our family more, maybe it's a non-issue with other people and I was the one making it the issue. Does that make sense?
It does. I absolutely know what you're saying. I'm going to interpret what you're saying, your feelings. I need to accept myself. I need to love myself and know my value and so forth. And yes, I do think I can clearly understand. Am I mostly at fault for this and so forth? I'm asking you this, Brittney, for the audience, trying to read into your feelings. When a person has experienced something other than what they were hoping for, let's reach out. Let's accept, not dismiss, but let's maybe spend more time listening than talking. And
Yes.
there are many, many times we are not seeking advice. We're seeking acceptance. And would you just be there and listen to me? I'm not seeking advice. And so, Brittney, I sound like I know what I'm saying, as having experienced divorce. I'm not. I'm just trying to interpret what some people may be feeling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there were comments that were made, and I think they were made out of not understanding,
Yep.
judgmental comments and things. But if they knew my story, if they knew everything, they wouldn't have said those things, right? Like, oh, well, you just didn't try hard enough if you got divorced. And I thought, wow, you have no idea how hard I fought to save that marriage that was never going to work, right? Like I stayed in probably a couple of years longer than I should have. So yes, I had to shift my own perspective, my own judgments of what getting divorced meant, or of a person who was divorced. That was part of my healing journey was shifting my own mindset about it. Yeah, so absolutely we need to try to have empathy and love regardless, because I think if we knew people's stories, we wouldn't judge them the way we do.
Totally agree. I do believe, Brittney, there is an aspect of we in the church need to learn more about some of your experiences. How can we in the church better adapt to, be accepting of, and we need to be very aware of words that could and so forth. And I think the more we are aware of, the more accepting you can feel to be in a position of adapting to and feeling like you're a whole person. That's my perception.
Yeah, I agree.
Brittney, on behalf of our listeners, I want to thank you for being willing to share. I'm guessing you've been through a difficult part of your life, but you're on the positive side, and we're benefiting from your life experience.
Brittney, how could someone reach you to talk to you about this, or have you help them?
Yeah, got a website. It's blendingbravely.com. You can also find me on Instagram or even TikTok. My handle is It's Me, Brittney P. And Brittney is spelled Brittney.
Great. Brittney, we do want to promote you, your ministry, in helping others into becoming a whole family again, to have a very satisfied, fulfilled marriage and blending the family. Thank you for all that you are doing.
Hey, thank you so much.
We appreciate having the opportunity to share our and our guests' life's experiences with you.
The Cooper Culture advances organizations to achieve and sustain high retention rates, connected communication, and trust through personality insights and principled leadership. You can contact us at our website, thecooperculture.com, and you can contact us directly at ron@thecooperculture.com or Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at thecooperculture.com. We work with you to help assess aspects of your culture to advance the environment and people to their best performance. We do that through our staff of certified personal performance coaches, leadership trainers, keynote speakers, and disc personality behavior experts. You can book a speaking engagement directly through our website by contacting us at ron@thecooperculture.com. We look forward to sharing our life experiences with you, some of which are profound, some of which are pretty funny. Some of those life experiences are ones we'll never do that again because we've been through stuff. We truly look forward to working with you, speaking with you, helping advance you in any way that we can.